What is the world's greatest love story? Is it Tristan and Isolde or Romeo and Juliet? I guess Brad and Angelina and Tom and Giselle are out of the running now. But it would have to be a love story that goes on for a long time and has met obstacles, because after all, without obstacles, there's no real love story. I actually think we just sang about it. Because I think the greatest love story in history is the love story between God and the Jewish people. It is thousands of years old. It began this morning when we celebrated the wedding, because the rabbis tell us that Sinai was the Chuppah. How many weddings do you celebrate thousands of years after they happened? Because it is a reciprocal love. Ahavat olam that we just sang about means you've loved us with an eternal love. And you know the prayer that comes after that? V'ahavta, and you should love God. Because a love story has to be reciprocal, or it's not a love story. As I told you, there's an entire book of the Tanakh called Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. And if you've never read the Song of Songs, let me just advise, first of all, it will take you 20 minutes, a half hour, very short book. And it is a book of erotic love poetry. And parts of it are pretty explicit, which may be why they didn't teach it to you in religious school. But once you read it, you'll say, what is this doing in the Bible? And the answer is, not just that it's in the Bible, but according to Rabbi Akiva, who was Rabbi Akiva, all of our scripture is kadosh, is holy, and Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, is kadosh kadoshim, is the holy of holies. So not only is it in the Bible, but according to Rabbi Akiva, it's the holiest book in the Bible, and you haven't read it. Shame on you. Because he said it wasn't a love story between a man and a woman, it was a love story between Israel and God. That's what the book was about. When I told you that love stories have challenges, how often has the love story between God and Israel had challenges? From the very beginning, where Job says to God, even if God kills me, lo ayachel, in God I will still trust and hope. And how many times throughout Jewish history have Jews had to say something like that? You may be doing terrible things. We're still in love. Nobody would have bet on this love story continuing after everything that the Jewish community and the Jewish people have endured for thousands of years. I mean, just think about it. The Torah is supposed to be our ketubah. It is the agreement. And what does God tell us in the Torah? You'll inherit the land. And what happens? We inherit the land, we get kicked out of the land. Then we inherit the land, then we get kicked out of the land. And then miraculously, God remembers the love story and we inherit the land again. That same Rabbi Akiva, followed by many rabbis throughout history, including in our day, the Pizanca Rebbe, the Rebbe in Warsaw, who died in the Shoah, talked about Yisurin shel Ahava, the sufferings of love. Because is there any love without suffering? Can you have love for a child and not sometimes suffer? And to be fair, If you love your parents, sometimes you suffer too. But that's what it means to love. The Jewish German literary critic once said that love is the suffering that makes you happy and the happiness that gives you suffering. And for God and the Jewish people, that has been true throughout our history. And this morning, when we stood up for the Ten Commandments, you didn't realize you were standing under the chuppah. But that's what our tradition teaches. And we got married all over again this morning. For the thousandth time, Ahavat Olam, eternal love. Do you feel it at every minute? No, it's impossible to feel love at every single minute. Are there times when you doubt it? Yes, there are always possibilities of doubting love. But we're still here. We still say v'ahavta, that will love you. And we still sing about God's love for us. So what's the greatest love story in the world? As far as I'm concerned, nothing else comes close. Through all the pain and the trial and the wandering and the distance and the estrangement and the doubts, it is the love story of God and the Jewish people. And like the best love stories, it will never, ever end. Shabbat Shalom. We continue.